in May, or actually I guess June, but I will be up here 20 years, and I still consider myself a visitor. I still think I'm going back to LA. And just like my dreams, I still think I'm going back to my bed in Tarzana, and like, it was a big nightmare. And it's not a big nightmare, but so much of what I have is in the past. Everyone knows it because I talk about it all the time. But one key element that honestly has something to do with me talking all the time, and I'm not going to say I imitated the person because I never consciously thought of it, but the importance of why does he talk all the fucking time? Well, because something that I knew in LA did. And at the time, I didn't know. Other people even knew about this. And I must have been high in 17 when I'm searching down the radio channel. And probably throughout the early 90s, including in hip-hop and gangster rap. And I had, some of the newest shit you could get. I could play a tape for 10 minutes, and I guarantee you, somebody who knew their music would come up to me and say, like, well, where did you get this? Well, who is this? And, I discovered bands like Portishead years before anyone ever heard of them. Massive Attack, and even Smashing Pumpkins. And it was Santa Monica City College. I can't remember the call letters. KCRW. They had the Militant Master Mix. That's where I first got introduced to Farrakhan during the riots. And at midnight, he was playing radio out of a huge station in Santa Monica City College. Even kind of dissing the white man and talking about how he's going to get kicked off the radio. And they let him do whatever he wanted. And he ended up playing like really, Black Power stuff for guys that were out in prison off the coast. But the thing was, one night I stumbled on it and I noticed this guy's playing the real beats, the real samples for all the songs I listened to, and what I was listening to was even deeper than the shit that brothers were listening to. I was really into it for the samples and for the music, for the original James Brown and the original jazz and all that shit, which was, I'm white. It's going to be very hard to find all those things. Nowadays, it's much more available. They can list it on your cell phone. There was no cell phones back then. But that's my introduction to Farrakhan, because he would play all these beats, then with a song, and then with Farrakhan giving a speech over it while LA was about to blow up. So that's, another reason why I knew. And then I'm telling people about this station, the Militant Master Mix, and they thought they were militant. But that's just one show. There was Man on the Moon, and then on every weekend, there was and I stumbled upon it the same way everyone else stumbles upon it. What the fuck is this? Holy shit, what's going on? I thought it was real. I thought it was real radio. Like the news or something like that. And then began my relationship, and even when I wasn't around, because he would air episodes, I didn't know who he was. And he even one time in one of his hour-long shows, The Other Side, I think it was called, in like 95, mentioned somebody I knew, my neighbor, who was the executive producer of the TV show Simon & Simon, and he mentions him in one of his like very deep about life, and not like, I don't mean like Alan Watts. This guy was really creative, and I thought he was all mine. I thought I had hit gold on this guy. And I taped, and I taped, and I taped. Most of those are either lost in fires. I don't have any of them that were original. And even the ones that are out now are kind of like not even on like digital format. You have to go up and type his name into a website and go, and for $5 order a cassette, and you get an episode if you can remember the episode. But there were so many episodes that had like, in my mind, sometimes I think, Was Joe Frank God? I know that sounds ridiculous. But when I started like looking for his stuff and finding it, it was being presented to me in a form like I'm talking to you right now. They would say the same exact thing. I heard this guy on the radio and I didn't know what to say. And he talks about everything from love to religion to basically family members dying, or just tells a story. You don't know if it's true or not. That was the thing. You never knew if this was like, is this just, radio theater? Or is this guy telling the truth? And Joe Frank, in that sense, has a huge impact on me, where I may tell a terrible story only because I'm not telling it right. He could tell a story right. But because it had such an impact on my life, it's one of the reasons I talk so much. Because I feel like my experience, just like you would feel your experience, you may not want to share it. But if it's really deep and you want to share it, you wish you could do it like Joe Frank did it. And so I'm not thinking I'm Joe Frank, but I'm saying, in a way, like that's who I have. Whenever I think of telling a story or sitting down and having a beer or smoking some bowls and telling people something that happened to me that day, in my mind, I don't consciously think this, but I wish I was Joe Frank. And I couldn't believe I wasn't alone. Welcome to Joe Frank.